The Agenda with Steve Paikin is made possible through generous philanthropic contributions from viewers like you. Thank you for supporting TVO's journalism.
Tonight on The Agenda.
Services are spread out across the north, and because often decisions are made on population numbers. And so we have to be more strategic in the way that we're addressing issues in Northern Ontario. And if that means more investment, then that means more investment, if that's what it takes.
Northern Ontario is geographically huge, about the size of France and Italy combined, but with the population of Mississauga. Trying to provide municipal services spread across such a vast expanse runs into facts that many southern cities simply don't face. We are in one of the key cities of the north, Sault Ste. Marie, and we are delighted to have here with us at the Algoma Conservatory of Music 4 of the 5 members of NOLAM. That is the Northern Ontario Large Urban Mayors, and they are, in alphabetical order, Michelle Boileau, Mayor of Timmins; Peter Chirico, Mayor of North Bay; Paul Lefebvre, the Mayor of Sudbury; and Matthew Shoemaker, the Mayor of Sault Ste. Marie. And it's great to have you 4 with us here. And can I just say off the top, we've had a wonderful time in the Soo. Everybody's made us feel very welcome, so thank you for rolling out the red carpet. We've really enjoyed being here.
Happy to host you and the team, Steve.
Normally this show talks a lot of policy, but I think given who you 4 are, I want to start with something a little more personal. And that is, I'd like to know, being mayor, what gets you out of bed in the morning? Go ahead, start us off.
Well, I think my 4-year-old daughter gets me out of bed first thing in the morning.
I didn't quite mean it that way, but yes. I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's the idea of trying to make our communities a better place to live for our own families and for all of the residents. There's a lot of potential in every one of our communities that has been left untapped, and I think that's what gets me out of bed is trying to work towards really fulfilling our full potential as a community.
Mayor Chirico?
I think it's the changing the challenges that we all face throughout our communities, changing those into opportunities. You know, if lemons, let's make some lemonade, because no matter where you are, we're all faced with similar challenges. Northern Ontario especially, we because of that geographic distance and the population size, it's accelerated a little bit some of those issues. But trying to make our communities, as Michelle said, a better place and making those challenges into opportunities.
Mayor Lefebvre.
Yeah, same thing. Basically, get out of bed in the morning to just try to improve our community, right? That's why we ran for office, and see how we can contribute to making our city a better place to live, work, and play. That's what kind of the lines that I use for Sudbury. Lots of potential, right? Certainly with the leadership that we can provide, and to try to make it to the next steps and to really showcase what we can do and believing in our community. That's why I get up in the morning, show up at the office, and work late nights, and enjoy every day of it.
Mayor Shoemaker.
Steve, I'll tell you, my mom was born in Italy, and she was born on the floor of her house. So she was an immigrant, or she is an immigrant to this country. In 1969, she came here to Sault Ste. Marie. And Sault Ste. Marie provided her the opportunity. Within one generation, her child has become the mayor of the city that had adopted her. So it has provided me the best quality of life that anyone could dream of. And I want for it to be able to provide that to my children and the rest of the community. And so that's why I feel a deep sense of needing to give back to the community because of everything that it has offered me over my life.
We're going to do one more round here, and this time it's the other side of the coin. What keeps you up at night?
Still my 4-year-old daughter. As especially Mayor Chirico mentioned, there are a lot of challenges that our municipalities are facing, a lot of social issues, and I think it's the idea that there are so many residents within the city of Timmins, within all of our northern communities that are struggling to get by, to make ends meet, to access the supports and services that they need, and so it's trying to help meet the needs of our residents with the limited resources that we have, with the limited infrastructure that we have, and so it's it's always kind of that puzzle of how do we get there? How do we help everyone that needs help within our community?
Mayor Chirico.
What keeps me up, it's the quiet. It's the quiet, actually, and as we all know, that our days are filled from start to finish, and that nighttime, that twilight where it's quiet, and you get to actually recap the day and go through and try and figure out how we provide those services, what we do for our future generations, all of those things. That's, I actually rather relish that time of evening where it's quiet. You actually get a chance to think and to see, you know, because your days are planned out, your days are always busy, and so it gives you some time to reflect on what you've done and what's coming up.
What keeps you up at night?
Well, certainly, as Michelle said, our social services and the needs for our population is just increasing on a daily basis. But at the same time, the city of Greater Sudbury is such a massive city, and our infrastructure is aging, and so the cost of replacing that and trying to figure out a way of truly minimizing, but at the same time providing the best services to the population. It's just a massive endeavor that has, in the past, we have not been able to be really at the forefront of past councils, but now we are faced with this, you know, decaying infrastructure issues that we have. So we got a lot of work to be done, and how do we address this, and how do we pay for this? So those are always things that I'm trying to figure out, to find the best way forward for our taxpayers and try to keep our taxes reasonable at the same time.
What keeps you up at night?
Well, like Michelle, I've got a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old, so they keep me busy all day. But in economies in the north, you're always kind of a catastrophic event away from things falling apart, and so it's really, we're sitting here in this beautiful space. This used to be a paper mill that employed, you know, between 200 and 400 people in its heyday, and so it shut down. It created a lot of ripples throughout the community, and there are only, you know, a handful of major employers in town that if anything goes wrong with any of them, and this is, you know, things that are purely private sector, like the steel plant and the tube mill that are here, to things that are reliant on government funding, like the university and colleges, which have been undergoing some upheaval, as you may have heard. And so we are always one, you know, decision or policy lever being switched away from something much more severe going wrong, and those are the things we try to diversify our economy on and plan for the future, so that we aren't so heavily reliant on, you know, one of these things or any one of these things, so we can be resilient.
As I look at the populations of your communities, now Sudbury, 170,000 people, that's a bigger place, 41,000 in Timmins, 72,000 here in the Sioux, maybe a little higher now?
We just got our stats scan data, 78,000 and change, so we're growing. Okay,
North Bay, are we around 53? 53,000, okay. So I'm going to guess here, I suspect, that when you folks are out doing your thing, you are running into people that you know every day, unlike if you're the mayor of Toronto or Ottawa or Mississauga, where you're going to spend some time in public, and it's possible during the course of a day you're not going to know anybody because the places are just so big. I wonder, Paul Lefebvre, why don't you start us off? How much of those daily interactions with people that you know, just as you live life in Sudbury, inform your public policy choices?
Well, they definitely do. These are ad hoc conversations that people actually take the time to stop you and say, hey, what do you think of this? We have issues with our roads, or like I said, with our infrastructure, with our homelessness population, what's going on. So certainly, when you take the time to really listen to these folks, right, that are taking the time to stop you and striking up a conversation, it doesn't inform your policy changes or choices, because as you're looking forward, right, it's good to have your ear on the ground. And these interactions on a daily basis certainly help. And then we also have 12 councillors, right? And they have those interactions as well that share that feedback as well. So to me, it's key to have that connection to our population. And that's one of the things of being on the ground as mayor, right? We get to live in our communities. We live there. We pay taxes just like everybody else. Our kids are growing there. We want them to stay in our communities. And how do we make sure that we grow our communities in a good way? That's why these interactions are always key.
Yeah, like Mayor Boileau, can you go to the supermarket, or can you take your 4-year-old to a movie without somebody coming up to you and saying, I got a comment about the garbage, I got a comment about services, I got a comment? I mean, does that ever happen?
Rarely, rarely. So no, I'm definitely being stopped everywhere I go, and not always with complaints or concerns. You know, sometimes with positive feedback and letting me know what we are doing well and what is being appreciated. But like Paul said, it definitely helps inform the work that we're doing. And we always say that, you know, in municipal government we have that most direct impact and link to the constituents that we're working for. But especially in smaller communities, do we really get to feel that? And that's nice, because when someone's coming forward and coming up to you and sharing a concern and saying, you know, this is happening and this is what's going on in my life, it removes all of the buzzwords and, you know, the alignment with other governmental priorities, and you really get to just look at an individual and what they're experiencing within your community. And then you know, we bring that back to staff and we say, you know, I just heard this from a resident. Could this be true? Is this going on? Maybe we should look into this. And that's how we really get the work done.
One of the things I hear Doug Ford talk about a lot is how he worries about getting caught up in the Queen's Park bubble. And I think, you know, probably all of you have smaller bubbles than the Premier of Ontario, but there is a risk of being in a bubble. Do you worry about isolation in your job and not having access to everyday people?
I'm pretty close to, you know, I shop at the grocery store, I go to the movies with my kids, so I feel like I've got a good connection to community, and, you know, most of the people that I bump into during a day, I'm probably somewhat related to them, given that I've got a big Italian family. So one thing, though, that I think you get when folks are coming up to you is the kind of unvarnished opinion, I think, as Michelle was touching upon, of what's going on in the community, and you get a good sense from people when they reach out to you directly of what the issue of the day is. So recently we had some challenges with our YMCA at risk of closure, and you know, that was a time when many people in the community, whether they saw me at my kids' swimming lessons, whether they saw me at the grocery store, whether they saw me at the movies, were coming up to me and talking to me about it. And it was, you know, it was obvious already that it was an issue, but it was clear from those interactions that this is something that is on people's, you know, at the top of people's minds.
What would they say?
They would say that the municipality needs to do something, right? And however they could contribute to helping it, the municipality needs to be the impetus for making sure that the place doesn't close. And ultimately, I think we're in the process still of trying to work a solution out, but the municipality took the lead on that file, largely because of the interactions that councillors had with residents, that residents, you know, took up on their own initiative to try and spearhead, and that I myself had with residents as I was out in the community. So getting stuck in a bubble is not something that I feel within a community like the Sioux.
Okay, Mayor Chirka, how about you? Any interaction with a member of the public that you can recall in your community which eventually resulted in a change of policy, you thinking about an issue differently, something like that?
I think every interaction gives you food for thought as you move forward. We were just in the process of going out for tender for a new arena, and it was top of mind for the last year and a half that it didn't matter where you went. People were talking about it. Well, you've got this, you've got this. So every interaction with people, you know, influences that decision down there. And, you know, I certainly don't profess to be the smartest person in the room by any means, and most of my teachers from high school will tell you that. And I'm back in the same hometown that I grew up in, so they're quite available for that comment. But they, you know, those are where you make your decisions. We all have family. Again, as Matthew said, Mayor Schumacher, large Italian family. I come from a family of 12, and 10 of them still live in North Bay.
So you are one of 12 siblings?
Yes, one of 12 siblings. Yes, exactly, and everything that goes with that. But you know, you hear from them. You know, what are you? And some of it's not too kind when you know you make an unpopular decision. But absolutely, those. Different comments that you hear just on the weekend, the farmers market. You know, we're down at the farmers market with grandkids, and my granddaughter, who just turned 9, she goes, "Grandpa, do you know everybody?" And you know, because they do, and they feel, and I'm very pleased that they feel that they can approach us as mayors. And you know, I know the same is true for the other 3 that are sitting here, is very approachable, and I think that that's key if you're going to be successful in your community.
As we mentioned off the top, you are all part of something called NOLAM, Northern Ontario Large Urban Mayors, although none of you looks particularly large, but I guess they mean larger cities. Okay, I get it here. Operating on the assumption that there is strength in numbers, I presume you four collaborate as much as you possibly can in order to get Queen's Park to help you get stuff done, as the expression of the current government likes to say. Give us an example. Mayor Shoemaker, start us off. Give us an example of something that you Northern mayors collaborated on, without which collaboration it probably wouldn't have happened because you needed that strength in numbers.
Yeah, it's an easy example, Steve. My predecessor used NOLAM to lobby for the Rural and Northern Immigration Pilot Program that the federal government established. And that was really an effort on the part of all 5 mayors from the north, including the mayor of Thunder Bay, who isn't with us today, to have the federal government develop an economic immigration program specific to the labor shortage needs in our communities, because in mining communities and in steel communities, you need specialized skills, and to find those specialized skills, if you aren't bringing them up internally, you need to find them elsewhere around the world. And it has been an enormous success. I mentioned at the top of the program that our population numbers have gone up, largely because we have been able to fill jobs that would otherwise go unfilled in our communities, and those people bring their families with them, and then they tell people that are from their home countries of the greatness of our communities and the livability, and then it invites more people in. So immigration, as you know, the Sioux has a lot of Italians because other Italians came here because they had a cultural connection to it. So if you can bring new Canadians in, it will bring in other new Canadians with the same cultural background.
Give us an example from Timmins about a win you got because you all worked together.
Well, I'd want to speak to another example that predates any of us here, but it's the Northern Ontario School of Medicine, and that really was, again, due to the collaboration between the large urban mayors from Northern Ontario, and I think that's a noteworthy example to mention. Now we're working together on things like, of course, trying to meet the social challenges that we're facing: housing, homelessness, access to primary care, access to adequate mental health and addiction services within our communities. Sometimes it's just great to be able to talk about the similarities, what's going on in each one of our communities, to learn from best practices. So it's not always that we're advocating to Queen's Park or to the federal government, but just learning from one another is what makes this so important for all of us. I don't want to speak on all of your behalf, but I know that learning from all of you is definitely beneficial to our community.
Mayor Lefebvre, what would you add?
Well, certainly that the collaboration is key, right? And just in our advocacy, which we've all been in our positions for a year and a half now, right, as mayors since the last election. But the fact that we can join together and go to Queen's Park, and we've gone to AMO last year, and we're going to do that's why we got together here in the Sioux to have that conversation. And our next advocacy pieces, as Michelle was saying, are social issues that we're all dealing with, right? How can we better advocate? How can we better sort of address these together? Because we're all facing the same issues. Who do we advocate to? Obviously, some of us have sitting members of provincial parliament that are in government. How do we address them? How do we certainly collaborate to advocate to them as well? So these are key moments that we can get together and to strategize together how we can best get results for our citizens of our communities.
Mayor Chirica, what would you add?
I couldn't agree more with those, but one of the key is the therapy. Is the therapy that that we're not in this alone. That we use each other as sounding boards, and we use it, and it doesn't cost us $200 an hour for a therapist to straighten this out. And it really does, because there's a lot of best practices. There's a lot of experience that although that I'm the oldest here. Yeah, but we've got a lot of experience around this table and different ways of looking at it. And just because you're old doesn't mean you have the answer. There's a lot of new ideas. we get new ideas. Paul has a vast amount of experience. Michelle has the same experience in different fields. Matthew, being a lawyer, no, not at all. He brings a lot to the table and a different perspective, and getting those perspectives together to be able to say, oh, we're not alone, and we've got that problem, and this is how you handled it. That is a bigger part of Nolan than that advocating to. That's a huge part in Queen's Park, but this is the collaboration that we can work together and we can make the North really, really special.
And if I may, Steve, something else is it amplifies not only the voice of the large urban municipalities in Northern Ontario, but it just amplifies the voice for Northern Ontario municipalities, because each one of us is working and collaborating with the municipalities in our distinct regions of Northern Ontario. As you mentioned, it's vast geography, the size of multiple European countries put together, and we're all service hubs in our communities, and so we're working, and residents from other municipalities from our regions are coming to our community.
What are the municipalities around Timmins?
All of the communities along Highway 11, your Cochrane and Kapuskasing and Hearst and Yurka Falls, and we all work together. We sit on different service boards together, and so we like to bring into our conversation some of the realities and some of the experiences of members from municipalities that are surrounding our areas. And so when we do have that opportunity to speak with ministers collectively, we're also bringing all of that to the table.
Okay, let me pick up on that, because in my experience in politics, it helps to have good friends in high places, right? You've got like one of the most senior cabinet ministers as the MPP for Nipissing. This is Vic Fideli. You, once upon a time, the member for Nipissing was a guy named Mike Harris. He was the premier of the province. Do you know for a fact that your part of Ontario, your part of Northern Ontario, did better than it might otherwise have done, did better than it might otherwise would have done, by having powerful friends in high places?
Yes. That's as simple as that.
Give me an example.
Last week we were having a discussion just on or 2 weeks ago at FNOM, Federation of Northern Ontario Municipalities, and one of Paul's councillors was asking about Highway 69. When is that going to be completed?
They've been promising to twin that thing for a very long time.
And
some of it is, and a lot of it isn't.
I may have whispered something along the lines of, well, maybe when the premier is elected in Sudbury. And listen, Highway 11, which, a very dangerous highway, no different than Highway 69. Listen, I give kudos to Mike Harris for getting that pushed through, to get that so that we have safe transportation for all of our northern communities, not just North Bay. Vic has done just a tremendous job in advocating at Queen's Park for so many things, whether it's regional hospital funding, right from everything, Northern Ontario Heritage Fund, film industry, you name it, it just goes, and he is very supportive. And yes, you do have to have good relations with Queen's Park in order to get things done. That's simple as it gets.
So let me look at the other side of the coin. You here in Sault Ste. Marie, Mayor Shoemaker, used to have a cabinet minister in the current Progressive Conservative government representing you. He's no longer in cabinet. Did the Sioux suffer because it didn't have as good a friend in as high a place?
I think that there were areas of advocacy that it helped having the Minister of Training Colleges and Universities in our own riding, but he is still an advocate for the needs of the community. I think one of the files that consumes a lot of his time is the physician shortage file. As you likely know, there are 10,000 patients at risk of losing their family care physician. He is on that file, and I have been in constant communication with him since the announcement.
Ross Romano.
Yes, since the announcement that all these patients were going to lose access to primary care on May 31st, and he's still very engaged in the file, and whether or not it would have helped for him to have a cabinet position, I can't say, but I think that he is still fully engaged and a willing advocate for Sault Ste. Marie.
Does it matter that Timmins' MPP is the Minister of Mines and is in the cabinet?
Well, I think it does, yes. I mean, I have a great relationship with Minister Perrier. I spoke with him on the phone just this morning, and I think the way it matters most is that it gives us a pulse on what's being said at cabinet and what the feeling is and the attitude and what's being talked about. No, not necessarily. Okay. Not necessarily, but having monthly meetings with him and check-ins, we get a good sense of what the priorities are, and it helps us align with provincial priorities. And then, of course, with the potential for the mining sector in the Timmins area. Of course, he's the Minister of Mines for all of the province. But again, just knowing what's coming up down the line, where the potential lies, and what we could and need to be doing to really embrace it. It's just good to have that kind of advice.
Now, as they say on Sesame Street, one of these things is not like the others. Tory, Tory, Tory. New Democrats represent Sudbury. Okay. Is it a problem for you in terms of getting the ear of this government to be represented at Queen's Park by a New Democrat?
No, certainly for us, I have good relationships with Frangela and Jimmy West, right? And you know what? They've been very, very good with me in the sense of, if you have a file that you want us to advocate with you for, let us know. And if there's a file that you want us to back off because you're already working with the members of at Queen's Park, we'll hear you out, and certainly we will support you. So it's about establishing good relationships with our local MPPs as well as the sitting members of other certainly ridings of Northern Ontario and of certainly that are at Queen's Park. So for me, it's been an all-out approach and certainly advocacy to the Premier's office as well as to different portfolios that certainly we have issues for Sudbury. So it's about establishing those relationships, and sometimes we're working with your MPPs. They have a job to do, right? They're in opposition. They have a job to do, and it is to recognize that, but at the same time finding the path to trying to get the results that you're looking for.
But in your heart of hearts, do you wish you had a Tory cabinet minister as your MPP?
Listen, for us, like I said, I will work with anybody. Right, and the fact that right now, I'll give kudos to the current Tory government. I can easily access who I want to and have those conversations and having those frank conversations. I don't have a wall because we won't answer the mayor's call because he's from Sudbury. No, they answer my calls, and certainly and it is to develop that relationship.
Okay. Let me change tack here for a second. I want to talk about the post-secondary world. You all have post-secondary institutions in your communities, and the past 6 to 12 months has been unusually historic in terms of, first, the announcement by the federal government to cut back on foreign student visas, which means there are a lot fewer students coming into your communities than used to. And in addition, you could add to that the fact that the provincial government has not heeded the advice of its own blue ribbon panel and is still doing some things to universities in terms of funding that those universities and colleges, are not happy about. Okay. I want to find out how it's playing out in your neck of the woods. Start us off. You've got a couple of places in North Bay that would be very interested in this subject right now.
Yes, Nipissing University and Canada College that share a joint campus in our community and one of our major employers in our community as well. The changes in the immigration is definitely going to have an effect on what we're seeing in North Bay, and we've been very lucky at both the university and the college to see a lot of people that are graduating from both of those institutions. Yes, they may leave at the end of their college, and they may go down to the Toronto or the GTA area, but now we're seeing them come back because it's too busy and they can't afford to live down there, and they're finding out that North Bay is a good place to live. So we're benefiting by that, but certainly the investments in the college and some of the cuts to the colleges and the university funding that, as we know, the blue ribbon panel stated, they have to increase it and get that back, and it hasn't followed suit yet. So they've had to depend on immigration and those foreign students to get their revenues up. And now we're going to see a leveling of that, I believe, right across the board with all colleges, all universities right across this province. And that is going to impact the provincial government substantially in the future, where there's going to be more requests for funding because we can't generate it internally anymore.
You've got Algoma University here, you've got Sioux College here. What's been the impact on the ground of these changes?
Well, I think it's significant. I had mentioned the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program in previous answer, and the best funnel into the Northern Immigration Pilot Program was our university and college, especially the foreign students that were granted study permits to come to Algoma, come to Sioux College, whether at their main campuses or their off-site campuses. And those people established a base in Sault Ste. Marie or in the GTA, and then could find work in our communities and stay here as permanent residents and become immigrants through that process. And so on this file, I feel like it's one step forward, two steps back. We made great progress with attracting students who then became permanent residents, but with the cutback in the number of students, it's only going to hurt the efforts of the Rural Northern Immigration Pilot Program that the government has established to succeed. So it seems that, the left hand isn't really talking to the right on the federal government side of things. But as Peter mentioned, it's the universities and colleges being forced to rely on foreign students because the funding hasn't kept up with the pace of the costs. And I understand the need to keep post-secondary affordable. But if there is going to be some balancing of that, there needs to be an increase in funding from the provincial government that might have to come from the general revenues.
Who are you madder at? Feds or the province?
Well, I think if you asked our university and college presidents, they would say that the changes in the federal government's permit allocation is more harmful.
Got it. You got Northern where you are, right?
Northern College.
Northern College and what? Oh, I guess
We've got satellite campuses for Collège-Boreal, Université Hearst, and Algoma University actually offers programming in Timmins.
So what's the impact where you are?
Post-secondary institutions offering programming, and of course there was a positive impact when we saw an influx of international recruitment and international students coming to Timmins. With an aging population, we need to be replacing that that population base of working age population, and so it was definitely positive for our local economy to see newcomers coming in, first for post-secondary, but then of course filling jobs that are much needed. I think in terms of the revenues, in terms of the funding, it'll be difficult, but everyone will survive. It just means that...
Is that for sure? Because I keep hearing from the post-secondary sector, institutions are going to close, courses are going to shut down, instructors and professors are going to lose their jobs.
So in the near future, it means that planning has to change. And so plans for projects, expansion projects, growth projects are going to have to be put on hold. And it's unfortunate because that's really what could help us leap forward in terms of a region, in terms of meeting the needs of local industries. We know that technologies and practices change in industry so quickly, and we need to be keeping up with that. And so asking our post-secondary institutions to hold back on the innovating because of these funding issues is unfortunate. And I think that's where the greatest impact is going to be felt, is that putting the hold on plans.
You got Laurentian, you got Collège-Boreal, Université de Sudbury, Thornlow College. Am I forgetting one?
Yes, Cambria.
Cambria.
And the Northern Ontario School of Medicine.
And Nossum as well,
Yes,
of
Nossum,
course.
that's right.
Yeah. All right. What's the impact where you are?
We're going to certainly feel the impact, but we're a bit different in the sense that Laurentian University, most of their international students were master's students, and they're not affected. Anybody in PhD at the master's level is not being affected. Collège-Boreal, because it's a francophone college, they're not affected either. So Cambrian is the one that's going to bear the brunt of it. And certainly they had already prepared for kind of reducing that, their focus on international students. And so I know that they have a plan to be addressing that gap that will be coming forth. But so again, it's an issue, and as Michelle said, we have a lot more international students coming to Sudbury. It's been great. It's really helped the local economy. But at the same time, how are we going to make sure that we sustain the level of good programs that are at Cambrian College, and to ensuring that we still have international students coming to our community, because we need them to fill the gap of the labor force going forward, which is a big gap that we already have, and that's an opportunity for us.
This is an example, Steve, I think, of where a policy is implemented across the board and has a more detrimental effect on Northern Ontario, cure a problem that exists more acutely in Southern Ontario. So I think this is widely recognized as something that was implemented to reduce housing shortages in Southern Ontario. Well, if you're going to improve the housing situation, you need more college-trained welders, college-trained builders, college-trained electricians and HVAC programmers, and you could have implemented this in a way that provided access to colleges and universities in communities like ours that are desperate for new residents, that are desperate for additional students to assist with the revenues at our college and universities. And you could have done that more strategically, as opposed to applying one rule across the province that has, a disproportionate effect on northern communities than it would on southern Ontario communities.
Okay. Going to change the subject on you again, this time the opioid crisis. There isn't a municipality in this province that is being spared the horrors associated with this issue. And although none of you specifically referenced it when I said what keeps you up at night, I'm sure it comes under the basket of social services and things that you would like to be able to do better at. There are wonderful efforts being undertaken, but if you pick up any newspaper or flip on the news on television, it's all bad, bad, bad news. Can you give people watching this, listening to this, any reason why they should think that you're going to turn a page on this thing and that you're going to make some progress? Because certainly from everything we read, see, and hear, it doesn't look like it. Mayor Chirico, start us off.
Yeah, it's a health crisis. It's a health crisis, not just an opioid crisis. It's an entire spectrum that is taken probably 2 decades to create, and it's probably going to take 2 decades to fix. It's going to start with education of our younger generation to ensure that they have the proper tools, the investments in mental health providers, social service aides. It's going to take a lot of investment to be able to correct the problem that we created ourselves. And it's not that we don't have the services available, but it's fractured. It's very fractured, and we have silos all over the place, and we have to break down those silos. If we are going to correct this problem, correct this societal problem, then everybody has to be on board. Because right now we have a small group of individuals that are holding a very large group of individuals hostage in a lot of ways when it comes to drug strategies and homelessness and all of those. And I don't mean to sound callous about it, but it is, most people go to work every day and they try to do it, but they come home and their house has been broken into because somebody's trying to access for drugs, whatever the case may be. We have to deal with that today. And if we don't start dealing with it as a society, then not only we're failing a couple of places. We're failing for our existing residents, but we're also failing for those people that are on the streets because we're not providing for them. We're not helping them. And we have to make sure that, I think there's the old saying about, how a civilization will be judged is how we treat our poorest, right? And that, it was something along those. I should have paid more attention in school. But, that is going to be how we're judged. And so I do believe that that's how it's going to start. It's got to start at the lowest level with our children and grandchildren and be able to educate them properly, bring them through that system, and then deal with what we've got in front of us.
I think the quote is on how we treat the most vulnerable among us.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yes, very much so.
Anyway, but point taken. Okay, how about in Timmins? What's it look like there?
Well, it's challenging times, definitely.
Politicians always say challenging when they mean god-awful. Can you just say god-awful?
Some days it's pretty stark, Steve. Yeah. Some days it's definitely stark. I mean, among our 5 cities, the 4 and then the city of Thunder Bay, we chart among the top 10 in terms of opioid-related overdoses. I think that really, again, speaks to the inequities in healthcare in Northern Ontario. There are the unique factors in Northern Ontario that need to be addressed. But I would say, you were asking, what would we tell people? And it's managing to put in place all the different parts of the systems that are required, And as Peter mentioned, at the moment it's fractured, and it's not only fractured within our communities, it's actually across the north. The services are spread out across the north, and because often decisions are made on population numbers. And so we have to be more strategic in the way that we're addressing issues in Northern Ontario. And if that means more investment, then that means more investment if that's what it takes. But having to travel great distances to access treatment services, and we were referring to a recovery journey that can consist of almost 1,200 kilometers for someone in Timmins. That as they go through the journey and they're relocating from one municipality to another to access different services, we need to make sure that those are available within every one of our municipalities. I would say though that whereas Timmins had charted in just a few years ago as second highest in terms of opioid-related overdose fatalities in the province per capita, in recent years we were able to come down in those numbers, and I think that speaks to some of the initiatives that were put in place, services that were put in place. So there can be hope. It is a worsening issue. It's worsening everywhere, but there are examples of areas where we were able to get a handle on the issue, but we're always just focusing on a Band-Aid, Band-Aid solutions. We're always focused on that incident response, when really what we need to be doing is investing upstream and really looking at prevention. But unfortunately, we're all in a position where we don't have the luxury of doing that because we're focused on crisis management.
When we look at our provincial healthcare system, we spend 1.5% of our health budget, our total health budget, on prevention. That should be very telling what that investment is and where we have to go in the future.
It's not a healthcare system, it's a sickness treatment system.
It's a treatment system.
Which is really
period.
Not what you want.
That's right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, certainly for us as well, as we look at certainly the issues that we were dealing today, the crisis that we have today, but certainly as Peter was saying, we also be looking upstream the next 10 years, 20 years, what does that look like? We're seeing in our community a lot of more collaboration, having the police actually work with the hospital, work with the city, work with bylaw, putting all the professionals together. It's a collaborative approach of how we're going to be addressing this. But we're seeing the levels of fentanyl and these types of drugs that are so potent coming into our communities that even these professionals have never had to deal with that before. And the demand is just exacerbating. So one of the things as we talk at Nolan, because we talked about this today, saying, well, we can't do this alone. This is not on the municipality's backs, because healthcare is mainly a provincial issue, certainly often funded by the federal government as well. So there needs to be more funding, more collaboration, and more integrated approach with municipalities, with the province, and with the feds to address this and not ignore this. So again, we're seeing some examples of how we're trying to do some supportive housing, right, for folks that were on the street and that we're housing them. We're trying to give them some supports, and we're seeing good results. So there is a way forward, but not everybody is able to have good results from this program. But how do we deal with that population that fails all the programs that we throw at it, right? We invest more and more, and then we're not seeing the results. So who's taking care of these people that are on the streets? And I always often say, I'll give them my house with a fridge full of food and your house with a fridge full of food, and they won't even take it. Right? And so they are at a place in their lives where they're not well at all, but then they can opt out. They don't have they can say, I don't want help, so don't help me, but yet I need services from the system. So that's where we're at as a society, and we've never seen that as a society in Ontario, certainly in Canada.
What would you add?
Well, I would add that, as you get further away from Queen's Park, the stats get worse. So, depending on which highway you take, you might get to North Bay first, you might get to Sudbury first, bad stats. You get to the Sioux, the stats are worse than there. You get to Timmins, the stats are worse than there, and Thunder Bay as well. So the further away you are from the center of power, the less attention the problem gets. And as a result of that, as we discussed this morning in our NOLA meeting, each one of our communities is putting municipal dollars into providing healthcare. We are not healthcare providers. We do not have the expertise, we do not have the tax base, we do not have the ability to pay for healthcare services. But supportive housing is happening in Sault Ste. Marie and Sudbury. Supervised consumption sites are happening in Timmins, and were happening until recently in Sudbury, all paid for with municipal dollars. Our revenues grow based on additional residences and businesses establishing in our community. They don't grow based on how well the economy is doing or how well a steel plant performs or anything like that, but provincial revenues do. So they have, as the economy grows, more dollars to spend on services. And if you're going to treat everybody the same, that means $1 in Toronto is going to be $1 when in Toronto you might be able to get a service in Mississauga. So that dollar goes further, whereas in Sault Ste. Marie, your closest service center might be Sudbury, might be Toronto. So $1 in the Sioux is actually not an equal way of spending healthcare dollars. It creates an inequity in the system.
I think our viewers understand the challenges and opportunities, as you like to call them, of life in Northern Ontario a lot more now than they did half an hour to 40 minutes ago. So, and it probably makes sense to give the local guy the last word on this program. What do you think? So, thanks so much to the 4 mayors from Northern Ontario for joining us on TVO tonight. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Does Canada underreport the severity of wealth inequality? That's the conclusion of a new report that says our official statistics severely underestimate how rich the richest Canadians are. To discuss its findings, we're joined by the report's author, Dan Skilleter. He is Director of Policy at the nonprofit outfit Social Capital Partners. And he was once a senior economic advisor to former Premier Kathleen Wynne. And Dan, first time on the program, so we're happy to have you with us.
Pleased to be here.
Thanks for joining us. Wealth inequality versus income inequality. What's the difference?
Well, and you've probably heard a lot more about income inequality because that's seemingly what we tend to measure here in Canada. When we're talking about income, we're really talking about, on an annualized basis, how much money an individual is bringing in. And for most Canadians, that is in the form of wages. So it's measured. If you've ever filed a T4, chances are, that is what we really mean when we're talking about income. When we're talking about wealth, it's a measurement that does change year to year. However, it's really an aggregate measurement of how many assets a family has. We don't measure wealth with individuals in Canada, we measure it by family. And so that's not just about the amount of money in a bank account. That is the entire kind of portfolio of assets that a family, especially a wealthy family, might have. So we're talking real estate, we're talking stocks and bonds, we're potentially talking about luxury vehicles and even an art collection. All of that together in aggregate would represent an individual's, or rather a family's, wealth in Canada.
Why do you think it's important to make the distinction?
Well, they're both, I don't want to underplay income and income inequality. I think that they're both important measures. But I do think that our fixation on income is leaving out part of the picture. I think with wealth, it can matter a lot more for an individual's life in terms of how it impacts you. You could be a relatively high income individual. There's certainly a correlation between accumulating wealth and having a high income, but that's not always the case. So for instance, wealth can accumulate over many generations. In fact, it does. Income can also downplay an individual's or a family's wealth by virtue of their ability to store income within corporations, so that they're not actually recording things as individual income, but they're able to keep wealth within corporations, accumulating gains on those as well.
So as we try to understand the disparity between either wealth and or income in our society, which do you think is more important to keep our eye on?
I would say wealth. I think it's been underplayed, so I think that it deserves more attention. But I'd also say that it's the case that internationally, and Canada's no exception here, wealth inequality tends to be a lot more severe than income inequality. So for that reason, I think it's also important to take a closer look at it.
Severe meaning the gap is bigger.
The gap is bigger. And by that, and in terms of the types of statistics that my report goes into, we're really trying to measure it by the share of wealth that the richest 1% or 0.1% of Canadian families have out of the entire pool of wealth that exists within Canada.
We've got some numbers on this, which we'll get to in a second. But before we do that, I want to pluck a quote out of your report here. This is from Dan's Billionaire Blind Spot. Sheldon, if you would, top of page 2, let's bring this quote up. Although Canadians increasingly feel that inequality is a problem and is getting worse, a ubiquitously Canadian instinct often kicks in when the issue of wealth inequality is raised. Whatever our problems, we are doing better than our neighbors in the United States. But is that true? Okay, let's ask the question. What does your report tell you about how we're doing vis-a-vis the U.S.?
Well, we're actually not too far off. And I wanted to highlight the U.S. for that particular reason, that I think that most Canadians, when we're trying to compare ourselves or when we're trying to evaluate how we are doing in Canada, we're often quick to point to the U.S. and say, things could be a lot worse, especially with economic inequality.
We think we're more equitable in this country than they are down there.
And the folks who focus on income, I think, they absolutely have a case. There's some of your viewers might be familiar with a term called the Gini index or the Gini coefficient, which measures the relative inequality within a society or a country. And when you're comparing those, Canada looks quite a bit better than the US. But what I found was when you're measuring the difference in wealth inequality between Canada and the US, and I think you might have those statistics ready to go, that especially when you're looking at the wealthiest families, we're talking the top 0.1% of families, the wealth disparity in terms of how much they own of Canada versus the US's billionaires, how much they own of the US, we're talking,
Don't give it away. Here we go.
away.
You ready? Okay, Sheldon, let's do it again now. Here we go. This is exactly what Dan is just talking about, wealth concentration in the U.S. versus Canada. In the U.S., he's discovered the wealthiest 0.1% own about 16% of total wealth. 0.1%, in other words, 0.1%, own 16% of the wealth. In Canada, the wealthiest 0.1% own about 12% of total wealth in the country. Yes, it is less. We are more equitable, but it's similar. However, and we put this on the record as well, according to Statistics Canada, the wealthiest 0.1% of Canadians own approximately 4% of total wealth, and that is notably lower than the 12%, Dan, that you are reporting. So can you help us understand why there is a discrepancy between what you are saying, 12, and what StatsCan is saying, 4?
Yep, it's a very big discrepancy, and you might be wondering, how? How did that come about? And the big finding that I have is that we simply do not ask the wealthiest Canadians to participate in our surveys to provide the data that we need. So to back up, I think it's important to understand how we even get wealth data in the first place. How is StatsCan even trying to determine this? With income, I think it's relatively straightforward. People would understand you file your income taxes, they have the data at their fingertips on an annual basis. With wealth, it's not so simple. There's actually a survey that's different than the census. It's called the Survey of Financial Security, and they send it out about once every 3 to 6 years. They send it to about 20,000 families. And what they do try to do is say, if we just randomly send out 20,000 surveys to families, we're going to miss some of the rich families. We think a lot of the wealth is hidden at the top of the distribution, so that wouldn't work out very well. So they do something where they attempt to oversample or send more surveys to wealthier families. Which is totally admirable. It's what other countries do in their wealth surveys as well. The problem is they don't go far enough, they don't do a good enough job, and so as a result, they aren't capturing the wealthiest families. And a statistic that I have in my report that I found personally shocking and made me want to produce this report and publish it is that the most recent wealth survey that we have data for, 2019, suggests that the wealthiest family in Canada has a net worth of only $30 million.
What? Say that again?
$30 million.
The wealthiest family in Canada?
The wealthiest family.
Well, that's clearly not true.
Clearly not true. And we have at our fingertips on a, I think, annual basis, things like the Forbes billionaire list, which will show with, they're not 100% accurate in terms of their valuations, but they certainly show that Canada has a very strong performance in the international world of billionaire families who have tens of billions of dollars of assets. Now, because none of them take the survey or to our knowledge, even are sent the survey, we are missing out on all of that wealth. And that accounts for the dramatic difference between what my report says, which is that the top 0.1 own, approximately 12% of all Canadian wealth, versus what the Statistics Canada's official data says, which would say about 3 to 4%.
So this is the billionaire's blind spot.
That is precisely right. That's the blind spot.
Is there anything StatsCan can do about, I guess in your view, making their numbers more representative of what's actually happening on the ground?
They absolutely can. And in my report, I make 3 recommendations. But the most important one, the keystone recommendation, would be you got to survey those billionaires. Now,
how do you get to them, Dan?
Luckily, so like I said before, Statistics Canada has already done a good job in setting up the, let's call it the plumbing or the infrastructure of how they do these surveys. They don't randomly send them out to begin with. They use income tax data that they have of families to determine who they think is wealthy and who they think is, middle income, who's low income, so that they can target richer families to send the survey to. But the way they target it right now is they say, we're going to target the top 5% of families in terms of wealth. That's about 500,000 families. And on the low end, they would have a net worth of about $2.5 million. Don't get me wrong, that's a decent chunk of change and it's wealthy, but it's a far cry from targeting billionaires. So what I would suggest is for the next survey, which I think they'll be starting soon, they should recalibrate how they're doing this, and they should target families in the top 0.001%. They should go out of their way to make sure that surveys are getting in the mailboxes of billionaires.
The follow-up question we should ask here is, why do you want this information? And my inference that I draw is, you want this information because you want to know who you can tax harder. Is that right?
That would be one of the reasons we might want to do that. But I would say that, one of the main impetuses for this report was that it was trying to shine a light on something that we just don't even know much about. Like I said, we think that inequality is at a certain level in Canada. It's certainly better than the US. And we don't even look at wealth inequality, in part because the data is so hard to access. We only get a glimpse at it every 3 to 6 years. And we happen to know that it is quite inaccurate. So I think that the discussion that we should be having about what is fair, what is a strong economy, what does it look like to have an economy where there's a strong middle class, that we're not just seeing the top richest families continue to prosper. I think none of that can really happen if we're not having a discussion with the real facts at our fingertips.
Okay, that's one recommendation. You want to hit us with another one?
The other two are simpler. The second one would be, once you have the survey in a place where it's going to give you some accurate data, don't just put it out every 3 to 6 years. I'd say that's a big gap in the data, and that's one of the reasons why it's hard to keep track of the changing trends. Let's do it a little bit more frequently, maybe every other year.
Every other year. Okay.
Yeah, it requires interviews with families. It's a big operation to run the survey, but I certainly think we can do better than every 3 to 6 years. And then the last recommendation is, related to that, which is if you go on Statistics Canada website, which I've spent a lot of time on, and you try to unpack the data and the tables and the charts that they make available to the public, you can find some really good, easy-to-use ones on income. You do not find that with wealth. So there's a lot of things they could easily do to take the data that they would hopefully in the future have and be able to display it so that policy wonks like myself or anyone could go out there and do the number crunching that they need to.
We like having policy wonks on this show. So you're in a fine tradition.
Great.
Thank you. That's Dan Skilleter. He's Director of Policy at the nonprofit Social Capital Partners. Dan, thanks so much for this.
Thanks.
Tomorrow on the agenda.
For someone whose entire family is undocumented, you're shining a light on your family, and people are going to ask for more information about you. And if you provide that information, they'll probably find out something that you don't want them to find out.
That's tomorrow on the agenda.